Hello everybody. I'd like to send you all very warm greetings and welcome you to Poland's #1 seaside resort town. We're on the Baltic coast, very close to Gdansk, in the town of Sopot, which along with Gdansk and with Gdynia make up what we call the Trójmiasto, or the Tri-City. And this place has been for, well, the last 120 years, the most popular seaside resort town of the country, Poland's summer capital. So I'm going to show you around over the next couple of days, and we're starting here on, well, what is Europe's longest wooden pier. 515 metres long. It extends into the Bay of Gdansk, and it's an old pier constructed back in 1928. It was an extension of a previous pier that existed here for 100 years before that, ever since Sopot started to gain in popularity as a Baltic coast destination. So we're going to start with a walk out along the pier here today, and then I'm going to show you around a few other areas of Sopot and introduce you to the town and introduce you to a little bit of the Polish coast. I hope you enjoy. So the statue behind me here is a statue of Jean-Georges Hafner. He was a Frenchman who is attributed with having founded the first successful spa resort here. So he was here during the early 1800s. He was a physician, a lieutenant general in the army of the Grand Army of Napoleon Bonaparte, during which time this area of Poland was partitioned at that time. It didn't exist on the map of Europe, so this at that time was a part of Prussia. So Napoleon's armies were here. He had a garrison in nearby Danzig, modern day Gdansk. Hafner was here with that garrison. But when Napoleon's troops left, he stayed. He married a local woman, set up a business, a practice in Danzig, and he recognised the potential of this place as a health resort. And there'd been previous attempts to establish health resorts, but his was the first successful one. So he established the resort here, which started to attract business from faraway places, from other areas of Poland, from Warsaw, from Berlin, from other coastal areas. And we can thank him for the success that followed. When he passed away just a few years after establishing his health resort here, the business was taken over by his son-in-law, and throughout the course of the 19th century, a lot of development took place. And his statue sits here in this beautiful northern park of Sopot. It's famous for its parks, which sit right behind the beachfront. So wonderful parks, gardens, right behind the beachfront, and in some cases pine forests which run all the way down to the beach. And we thank Jean-Georges Hafner, in Polish Jan Jerzy Hafner, for founding this wonderful resort spa town which is Sopot. So the name of the town Sopot is believed to be derived from an old Slavic term for spring or stream, and it's a very appropriate name for the town, because here close by to the town at a depth of 800 metres we have the spring of St. Wojtek, and it's one of the reasons that Hafner back in the 1820s decided to develop a health resort here. There's a very high concentration of brine in the waters coming from this spring, as well as other mineral properties, and the health benefits were recognised back in the early 19th century, even before actually. And I'm standing here in front of this area, which is an official inhalation point. So you can see some people sitting around the spring first of all, simply breathing the salt air for the benefit of their health. And in the middle of the area we have this spring of the briny water, which is coming from St. Wojtek spring, and which people will fill up with their bottles or simply go and drink from to enjoy the benefits of that. Behind it too is the Pomeranian, Pomorskier, the region that we're in, rheumatoid centre, and there are quite a number of facilities and spa centres, health centres around town who cater to people coming for rheumatoid treatments and breathing treatments and various other spa health type treatments to benefit from the waters of St. Wojtek Spring. Let's go and try some of the water. So the interwar years were great years here in Sopot. Very fashionable period of Sopot. The 1920s in particular, it was then that we saw a lot of development, like this wonderful hotel behind me, the Grand Hotel, which still today is a very exclusive hotel catering to wealthy guests from right across Europe. Lots of French, lots of Germans, lots of Russians in particular. Very popular with Russians and Germans. They came very often, sometimes uninvited, sometimes outstaying their welcome, but still a very popular place for them today. So it's a wonderful, beautiful hotel, one of a number of hotels throughout Sopot which cater to the luxury clientele, and a wonderful beachfront that they've got out here too. So as well as the hotels, the 1920s saw a lot of casinos and gambling houses open up. It was almost a Monte Carlo of the Baltic. So we've made our way down onto the beach, and miles and miles of beaches here. It's a hot day. It's about 30 degrees Celsius, so around about the high 80s of Fahrenheit, and actually you can see some of the little fishing boats pulled up on the beach here, brightly coloured. They've been out this morning catching the fresh catch for today's fish and chips. It's the specialty of Sopot, as you would expect. Lots of people out swimming in the Baltic, lots of people here on the beach actually, so Sabina and Max and Matilda are already in there, and I'm going to go and join them. So swim time and then off for some fish and chips. So one of the typical features that I really love here in Sopot with the architecture, are these traditional wooden verandas. You can see one here. This is the villa that we're staying in at the moment, and lots of the old villas from late 19th century, early 20th century have these wooden verandas constructed on the front of the house. Now of course these were built by wealthy aristocrats who came from Berlin, from Gdansk, from Warsaw, from Königsberg, from other major centres of the Baltic area. And they would come here in the summertime to enjoy the health benefits of breathing that salt air, and even on very hot days, because we do get very hot days. We've had mid-30s, 35 Celsius just in the last couple of days up here. That's in the high 80s, 90s Fahrenheit scale. So a lot of people don't realise it gets so hot here in Poland. But even on very hot days, they could sit in these verandas open the windows and in the comfort and shade and cool, enjoy the health benefits of the saline air. And likewise, if they wanted to come here in the winter, in the warmth of their veranda, they could enjoy those same benefits. So they're everywhere on all of the old houses of town, and they really do make, along with the tree-lined streets and avenues, some beautiful trees and old mature trees on the streets and the avenues, and with these wooden verandas, it makes for a very attractive town, a very attractive and very pretty little setting. I'm standing at the top of the main pedestrian street of Sopot, which is dedicated to the heroes of Monciak. The battle for Monciak, major battle which took place between January and May of 1944 in Italy, opened up the road between Napoli and Rome for the Allied troops, and it was Polish troops of the Polish Second Corps under Lieutenant General Władysław Anders who finally captured the ruined monastery of Monciak from Nazi forces on May the 18th, raising the Polish flag above those ruins. And it's a battle which is celebrated and commemorated throughout the country. In every town and city there's a street named after the Battle of Monciak, dedicated to the heroes of Monciak, and this street is one such example. So this is the main pedestrian area. There's lots of restaurants and cafes and bars, beautiful old townhouses, the main church of town. So we're going to take a walk now down the Avenue of the Heroes of Monciak. So just up on the hill behind me here is one of my favourite monuments. This is Wojtek the bear, and he was a real bear who was adopted as a 3-month-old cub by the soldiers of General Anders' army while they were in Iran after having left the Soviet Union. This army, which was made up of released prisoners from the Soviet Union and Poles from predominantly eastern part of Poland, and they left the Soviet Union. They travelled and fought through Iran, Iraq, Syria and Egypt, and during their time in Iran they adopted this 3-month-old bear cub who was brought up believing he was human. He lived with the soldiers, brought up and lived with the soldiers, and became a soldier himself. Had his own military ID, fought with the soldiers, rode alongside the truck drivers in army convoys. Rather than being paid money for his efforts, he was given a double ration of food. He sits up here on an ammunition box. Famously, he was helping to carry the ammunition and load the ammunition during the battle for Monciak. So he thought that he was a soldier. And unfortunately, like the other soldiers, he also drank too much vodka and smoked too many cigarettes. After the Second World War, having fought with General Anders' army in many theatres across Europe, like many of the other soldiers, they didn't return to Poland. They were advised not to. The communists took over here in Poland, and soldiers that were returned were considered to have been tainted by Western ideology. So they were told to stay away. And like many of those Polish soldiers, he went to the United Kingdom and spent his years in Edinburgh Zoo, where he passed away in 1963. So Wojtek is very much loved and celebrated and commemorated here in Poland, and particularly here on this street, which is dedicated to the heroes of the Battle of Monciak. He was one of those heroes. The full name of the street is Ulica Bohaterów Monciak, Street of the Heroes of Monciak. But as you can imagine, it's quite a mouthful, and the locals, they simply refer to it as Monciak. The busiest time down here is most certainly in the evening, so lots of people coming out to sit in the bars and cafes for their aperitivos, and then of course to enjoy dinner at the restaurants, and lots of local families and everybody coming out just for a stroll, an early evening stroll. But it's certainly great to see all of the life has returned to places such as Sopot, Gdansk, and the likes. Great to see the people out and about. Okay, so I met a couple of old fishermen down by the beach, and I picked up some of their fresh catch from today. I picked up too much, but it was too good a price. I've got some turbot, some local Baltic Sea turbot here, which I'm going to cook up, and a few small perch, and some bream as well. So I've got a big plate of mixed fish, zapatelnia. I'm going to cook them up in the pan, which is a very popular way to cook them. Of course, another very popular fish here on the Baltic is dorsch, which is cod, which all the restaurants serve. We had a fish and chips yesterday, was cod and chips. So we're going to do a few different types here today. Just going to dust them in some flour, cook them up in lemon and butter and a little bit of olive oil, which is a very popular way to cook it up here. And we're going to have lunch in our nice little veranda, which is the dining room here where we're staying. So mixed fish from the pan, delicious. So we've decided today to go to Hel and back. Hel is the name of a coastal town, a seaside town, as well as the peninsula that we've driven along this morning to arrive here. It's a 35-kilometre long peninsula, which at its narrowest point is just some 200 metres across, and it's very beautiful. The peninsula separates the Gulf of Gdansk, so we've come from that direction, from Sopot, from the Baltic Sea, and we're walking along the beach of the Baltic right now, and then we're going to go into town and down to the fishing port and to the old Kashubian town of Hel afterwards. So I'll show you around a little bit, but here we're walking on the beautiful Baltic facing beaches of Hel. So just on the hill behind me here is one of the old artillery guns. This was a very well fortified coastline. First of all in the late 1930s when Poland fortified it against a Nazi invasion. Then it was used by Nazi Germany once this became occupied territory. And then again also during the Cold War years. This was a very well fortified coastlines. There are a lot of bunkers, pillboxes, and still the big guns, the artillery guns, facing seaward here along the Hel Peninsula. So we're back in Sopot now, enjoying a last walk along the Molo, along the famous pier dedicated to Pope John Paul II. And it's almost the end of our time up here on the Baltic coast. It's coming into the weekend. It's going to be a very busy weekend, and we've got the Sopot Film Festival as well as a big meeting at the racetrack coming up this weekend. So it's no Cannes Film Festival and Monaco Grand Prix, but it's about as glitzy and glamorous as it gets up here on the Baltic coast, excuse me. So the big crowds will be coming in, and we're going to head off before they do. We're going to put Max and Matilda and the scooters into the car and head off early tomorrow morning and get back home down to the mountains in the south. So I hope you've enjoyed this glimpse of Poland's Baltic coast. Hel and Sopot, they're just a couple of the beautiful gems up here. And I need to get home too, because my cucumbers are ready to be picked in my vegetable garden, and I'm going to pickle those, so stay tuned for that too. I'll be teaching you how to pickle cucumbers. But anyway, I hope you've had a great time. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the sights, and remember to subscribe my YouTube channel and also my website, onceuponatimeinkrakow.com. Keep an eye on those Insight Vacations trips, highlights of Poland, highlights of Eastern Europe, the Bohemian. Looking forward to starting those again very shortly. And of course, check out our country roads of Poland with myself and Insight Vacations in spring of 2022. The links are in the text. So take care. Bye for now.